So very cool. Hopefully you're watching on our YouTube channel. That was the voice of Mark Elbroch, biologist and storyteller behind the new film Heart of a Lion. He followed the journey of two mountain lion mothers on their path from the rugged Wyoming wilderness all the way to the Olympic Peninsula here in Washington. He's with us this morning here on Seattle's Morning News. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
That little 1-minute snippet was absolutely gorgeous. As soon as the pups showed up, we all went, oh, or what do you call baby mountain lions?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. I call them kittens.
Okay.
And the reason it's a good question is small cats have kittens, big cats have cubs, and they've always been called the biggest of the small cats.
Gotcha. Mark, how did you become so interested in mountain lions?
Oh, dumb luck, really. As a biologist, you sort of fall into species to spend your life with, and I just got really lucky and was offered a position 20-ish years ago to work with this species and have stuck with it since.
What led you to follow these specific families on this trek?
Oh, goodness. Their location, really. We had the first project. So the film includes work from sort of the last 14 years where I lived in Wyoming to begin with. And just F61 was the female that lived outside our door of our office. And then Yoko is a female that lives outside my door of my house here in Washington on the Olympic Peninsula. And so it was just their proximity that made them so accessible and easy to follow.
Tell us about the process. How long did it take to make Heart of a Lion?
Oh, that's a good question. The work itself, meaning the science and the following of cats stretches back to 2012. And then the actual filmmaking, I think Joe Pontecorvo, the director, has been working on the film with Jeff Hogan, another cameraman, about 3 years.
How close did you actually get to the animals?
Oh, we get very, very close. The one wonderful thing about this species is they're ultimately super cautious, and they allow you to get quite close without being aggressive. And so, yeah, we handle mountain lions frequently. I mean, I catch them for a living, if you will, and sort of we mark them and follow them and handle kittens frequently, and I'm lucky enough to spend a lot of time in close proximity.
You say mountain lions are somewhat misconceived. How so?
Oh, goodness. So many ways. We sort of think of them as these solitary robotic animals that are all the same, that they're aggressive and ultimately something we should be concerned about every time we enter the woods. But all of those things, I think, are misconceptions. They're more social than we think. They have frequent interactions with their neighbors. Mothers spend over 80% of their lives in the company of kittens, so it's hard to call them solitary. They are all different. They all are individual personalities that really interact differently with other animals, with humans, etc. They ultimately are cautious, just like I said earlier, in that, yes, they are a large carnivore with teeth and claws that have the potential to hurt people, but the reality of the risks of living alongside them are tiny, and nothing really we should be worried about.
We're talking with Mark Elbroch. He's the storyteller behind the new film Heart of a Lion. Are mountain lions endangered?
They are not. And as a species globally, they are not. The only place where they are listed, or at least where there's a breeding population where they're listed as endangered, is Florida, where they're called Florida panthers. And so that population is small and isolated, and for that reason requires a lot of conservation support.
I'm glad you mentioned Florida panthers, because some people call them mountain lions, some people call them cougars. What's actually accurate? Is it dependent on where you live?
They're all accurate. Yeah, that's right. Depending on where you live. In the United States, the most common is mountain lion. Coming from Wyoming, that's kind of what I tend to fall into. But here in Washington and Oregon, the most common usage is cougar, and that's true of Canada as well. But they're all the same animal. They have hundreds of names because they are the most widespread terrestrial mammal in the Americas, from central Canada all the way to the tip of South America.
Is this your first film project?
We have done a few from Wyoming, so this is not my first, but this is my first like this, where I'm sort of the narrator and sort of following me rather than following the cats, outright.
What do you want people to know when they watch the movie Heart of a Lion?
The film is to celebrate the species, to share what we've been learning on the Olympic Peninsula in Wyoming, sort of some of their secret lives, to kind of introduce the species to people who may never think about them. It shares some of our cool insights, how we've seen them fishing for salmon on the Olympic Peninsula, hunting seals, all sorts of cool like little tidbits. But ultimately, we also want to, reveal some of their challenges. And that, it's really up to us to live alongside them if we want to.
That one little minute clip we saw was spectacular. I mean, the footage is just beautiful. I can't wait to see the movie. It is Heart of a Lion. And where and when can we see it?
That's a good question, too. The first premiere will be this Saturday in Boston, Massachusetts. We hope to have far more numerous presentations locally here in Washington, because we live here and we filmed here. We want to share it with our community. And then ultimately where it will be distributed is yet unknown, because that needs to be figured out by the director.
Have your people get back in touch with us when you know, and we'll pass it along. Thank you so much. Mark Elbroch, again, biologist and storyteller behind the new film, Heart of a Lion. Can't wait to see it. Thank you for your time this morning.